Hey y'all, Latanya Speaks signing in. Wanted to share a testimony with you guys. We're going to call this Testimony Thursday. So, for some of you who don't know, my son was diagnosed with a concussion. He had an incident at school where he was playing recess. They was playing kickball actually, and one of the boys that he was playing with, ran him over. My son was guarding the base, and the little boy ran him over to try to get to the base, and my son head hit the ground after the boy ran over him. But anyway, he after I took him to the hospital a second time, that's when they diagnosed him. They misdiagnosed him the first time, saying that he just had a minor head injury, to give him Motrin, and that he can go to school the next day. He'd be fine. Of course, Mama, I'm like, no, he's not going to be fine. So I kept him home for 2 days. And then on the third day, I said, let's try to see if we can go to school and see what happens. No, it did not work. If anything, the headaches got worse. And so at this point, the teacher is calling me again. Well, actually, the nurse from the school called me again saying, hey, you got to come get him. He's not responding in class. He's really in real pain, and he needs to go to see a doctor. And that's what, she was basically telling me, he needed to go to a doctor because something's not right. And so I took him to the hospital again, and I said, look, something has to happen. I'm like, y'all need to run some tests. Y'all need to do something because something's not right. It is not right for me to have to always give him medicine. I'm like, this is day 4 of me giving him Motrin, and his symptoms actually are getting worse. They're not getting better. I said something needs to happen. So we got to the hospital, and we saw another doctor, and she said, oh no, she said, your son has a concussion. And I said, that's what I thought when I brought him here on Monday. That's what he had, but the doctor was telling me something else. So of course he the doctor, so and so she gave me a number to the concussion specialist and things like that or whatever. So I've been on the phone with the concussion specialist telling me the do's and don'ts and what would trigger the headaches and all this stuff. And I had no idea what all was involved in this, in having a concussion. And by this being my son's second head injury, this is his first concussion, but his second head injury, the process would take a little longer. So we're a couple of weeks in now, and the process is taking longer because, we didn't know until several days later that that's what he actually has. But on the flip side, we are seeing some progression. I've been able to adhere to everything that the concussion specialists have said to do. I've given all the accommodation to the school, and they have been so very supportive. They have not given me a hard time. They understand and everything. And also my job, because keep in mind, I'm still a working single mom, and I still have to, go to work. I have responsibilities there too. And so I just really thank God that, I'm able to I was able to work from home those days where he couldn't go to school, and now he's able to go to school half a day. And so I'm able to work half a day at home and be with him. And I can tell you, I've had other corporate jobs where they didn't care. They wasn't a family-oriented type of company. They wanted you to take your PTO, handle that, and come back to work. I don't have to use no PTO, for that. And I just thank God for that. For them to be so understanding and working with me and always calling me, following up to see how my son is doing. I so appreciate that. I have not had that working in corporate America before, and I really thank God that these people found me, but dealing with all the stuff, even though I'm saying this good stuff about my employer, Human Resources actually dropped me from the insurance that I had. And I didn't know that I didn't have insurance until I went to go get my prescription for my son that he needed for his stomach pains that he was having from all the medicines I was giving him. Because, keep in mind that the new doctor told me that he is not supposed to have anything that has ibuprofen in it, and most Motrins Motrins have ibuprofen in it. He's not supposed to have ibuprofen, aspirin, none of that stuff. So she told me that he's supposed to have Tylenol. So when I made the switch from Motrin to Tylenol, of course it upset my son's stomach. So when we went to see the pediatrician, of course I brought that up, and he gave me the prescription or whatever to get filled. And so when I went to go get the prescription filled, that's when I found out I didn't have insurance. And so I'm like, how can I not have insurance? I've had insurance all this time, so I'm over here thinking that, I'm going to have to pay all these doctor bills because I've been to the hospital twice, the children's hospital, twice, and I've been to his pediatrician, and, I'm thinking about all this stuff that I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to pay for all this stuff, because those doctor bills can really get up there real quick. And of course, I have responsibilities at home as well, so I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I'm talking with HR, trying to figure out what I need to do and how time is of the essence. And it just felt like that they was taking their time, and I'm sitting here like trying to follow up and try to, schedule meetings and stuff and trying to get this handled because I'm supposed to have insurance, and it's against the law not to have insurance. So I'm like, what is, and I'm talking to my director at work, and I'm like telling her what's going on. And she was like, oh my gosh, girl, you have really been through it this 2018 already. And I said, I know, right? I said, who knew, right? And so the people at the pharmacy told me that they dropped me from my insurance January 31st. And I'm like, what? It just didn't make sense, like, I'm like, what did I miss? That's what I'm thinking to myself. What did I miss? Why don't I have insurance? I had insurance last year. Why they, I don't understand. So, I didn't get no emails, nothing saying that, hey, you need to do whatever to make sure that you have your coverage. Since I didn't get anything, I'm thinking everything is good. No email, no phone call, no nothing, right? So anyway, of course, I'm doing my due diligence or whatever. They telling me to go through the necessary channels to write an appeal to, and then they will look at the appeal and see whether or not they would grant me my coverage. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, you know what? If this is what their policy is or whatever, maybe I missed something. She was telling me that did something. I'm like, you guys never notified me. I said, I just started doing the enrollment period last year where I signed up for my benefits. If you needed me to re-sign up, I needed to get that information. I needed to know that. You guys could have emailed me or called me and let me know. That's what I'm telling her. But she was saying that she wants me to do a written appeal. So I did that, and I followed with her. And like I said, and I was like, hey, what's going on? Do I need to meet with you? I said, because I haven't heard anything back. So anyway, make a long story short, she got back with me and she told me, she said that she was gonna grant me my insurance. She was going to give me a one-time courtesy, and she was like, next year, make sure you re-enroll regardless. Make sure you re-enroll in all your benefits. And she said that she's going to backdate my insurance to January 1st. So I don't have to pay for all those medical bills because she's going to backdate my coverage for me. And, of course, I pay the premiums, and payments or whatever for that part. But I'm just really grateful and thank God that I don't have to worry about paying those medical bills. My insurance is going to take care of it, and I just wanted to get on here and tell you guys how awesome God is, because they didn't have to do that. They could have drugged this out even longer, and then I could have got medical bills that were piling up, or she could have, granted me my coverage, but didn't backdate it. And I'm like, wow, I'm so thankful. And that's the thing, just be, you don't and I didn't get no money, and that's what I'm here to tell you guys, to just be thankful for the small things that God bless you with. God blesses us all the time with small things, and because it's small, we don't even really see that He is blessing us. Just like He blesses us every morning to start a new day for Him. find out a way that's gonna make him happy. He give us an opportunity every day to fulfill our dreams, to live out our destiny, to do what we're called to do every single day. People are dying every single day. Like today in Florida, I was just hearing on the news how this 19-year-old, who was apparently, I think, expelled or something from school and felt some type of way or whatever, and he came back into the school and shot the school up. And like 5 students or whatever, I think, are fighting for their life. And this is happening in Florida. This is in an area where crime like that don't happen. So it was a shock to the whole state, I'm sure. So I'm saying all that to say you just never know what's going to happen. Them kids didn't wake up that day and think that something's going to happen, or they weren't going to come back home to their parents. You just don't know, and that's why it's so important to take the scales off your eyes and see things for what it is, and to see a blessing when you to know a blessing when you see it. And I look at that as a blessing. I look at that as God giving me grace. I look at that as God giving me favor with man, because that right there didn't have to happen. Out of everything that I was dealing with my son, the last thing I needed to worry about and be concerned with was insurance to pay for all the stuff. My only concern should be making sure that my son is back to his normal self. But because of human error, I had to deal with all that. But I'm thanking God, who I serve, he was able to turn that mess around, and they backdated it where I have coverage the beginning of the year. So there is no glitch in my insurance coverage. I don't have to pay no fines to the government for not having insurance. I mean, just blessing after blessing. And then on top of that, when I get to my desk yesterday morning, I see a bonus on my desk from an agent that I work with, who was so appreciative of all the work that I put in with her crazy invoices to get her to help get the invoices paid. Because being in accounting, we work behind the scenes on a lot of different clients. And when I say clients, I'm talking about hospitals. And so we work behind the scenes to get these invoices and stuff paid. And she saw all the time that I spend in adjusting these invoices and trying to make our clients and customers happy. She gave me a spot bonus, which I was able to cash that day. And that was a blessing, because she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to go to her boss and say, hey, I need a spot bonus for Latanya Smetley. I appreciate what she's doing my invoices. I appreciate she's getting my invoices paid by the client. And we're in good standings with that client now because of Tanya. And so it goes a long way when people appreciate the work that you do, because in accounting, you are so overlooked all the time. They don't look at the work that you do to get these invoices paid, and all the phone calls and email stuff that you make to the client, trying to get them to pay their bills. Or if the invoice is wrong, we got to reconcile the invoice and make it right so it can get paid, or go back and forth with the client saying like, hey, per your contract, this is what you're supposed to be charged. And I mean, all this stuff that we do, on a regular basis. I mean, it wasn't nothing I did out of the norm for her. I do them from all my clients, but when one of my sales reps make a point to show me how much they appreciate it, that goes a long way with me, because we don't get appreciated much from the salespeople. We do from management, from my manager, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying from the salespeople that we really work with, hand in hand. And so it was like I was just getting blessed all over the place, on yesterday. And I was just so grateful to get an email from HR saying they're going to backdate my insurance coverage, and then get a spot bonus sitting on my desk when I get into the office yesterday. I'm like, thank you, Lord, for your blessings. I see everything that you're doing for me, and I just ask you to keep the blessings coming, and I ask you to block everything and everybody that try to come in and steal my joy and try to block my blessings. I ask you to remove them right now in the name of Jesus, and surround me with people that's going to bring life into me, and it's going to be a blessing to me in Jesus' name. And that's what you got to say to yourself. But I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I just want to say that this is Testimony Thursday, or Thursday Testimony Day, however you want to say it. But I'm just letting you know that God is still in the blessing business and he is still blessing you. So do not be afraid to share your testimony to any. It don't matter how big or small it is. Do not be afraid to share your testimony, and do not be ashamed of where you've been, because thank God you're not where you was at. You are, and thank God that you don't look like where you've been through. So that's it, y'all. Latanya Speaks signing out. I love